Hi guys, thank you for joining me. This video is coming from a very different United Kingdom. Today it's Friday the 24th of June. It's the day of the big Brexit decision. The United Kingdom has decided to leave the European Union and it's a very historic day. So no one really knows what's going on. People in this country, in Europe, everyone's in crisis mode and it's created a lot of uncertainty. So what this weekly horoscope is about is looking at the energy that you will be working with from Monday the 27th of June through until Sunday the 3rd of July and what you can expect personally. Okay, so I've looked at what's going on. I was in Austria last week. I had lots of time to look at everything that's going on up in the heavens. I've made extensive notes here. So on Monday, the 27th of June, you can expect the pace to be really quick, but to pick up even more, obviously, than the weekend was. There is lots of activity going on. On Monday, people will be in competition mode, and that's as a result of the uncertainty that's floating around, okay? So when there is anxiety and uncertainty abounding in the atmosphere, the one place people know they want to be is at number one. They want to compete. They want to make sure that if things go awry, they're in a comfortable position. So people have got their eyes and ears open. There's lots of ego floating around on Monday. So just be aware of that. Combined with that energy is a real ability to dream, which combines a connection to the past and the future. And I'll go into a little bit more depth with that. So astrologically, what's happening here is the third quarter moon is on. This is when the moon is on its way from the full moon to the new moon, and it's that pit stop where it's really at its third quarter, okay? It's waning, it's winding down, and things start to feel a little bit easier, supposedly, but at the same time, it's in a square. It forms a square relationship with the sun. So there's friction, there's motivation, there's energy between the way people are feeling and the way they are acting. And the moon goes into Aries on this day at 7:09 a.m. and that's based on GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And what that means is that internally people will want to do something. People will want to feel like it doesn't matter if I have all the answers. All I want to do is move forward and take action, okay? That then combines with the sun, which is also about action and about moving things forward. And that's why there's such a buzz on Monday. Chiron goes retrograde on Monday as well. Chiron is an asteroid. It's represented as the wounded healer in astrology. And it's in Pisces at 25 degrees. It stays in retrograde until the 1st of December 2016, so pretty much for the rest of the year. And once it does go direct again at the end of the year on the 1st of December, it's at 20 degrees, so there's a 5-degree difference. Remember, 5 degrees in numerology is all about freedom, okay? So what this does, the Chiron retrograde allows you access to past lives and this wounded healer quality. And that's what this connection about the past and the future is all about. It's looking at what was, personally as well as politically with what's going on in the world, to really see what you want to heal, what you want to let go of, and what you want to recreate in the future. And that gives you a very kind of luxurious position to be in, because you're almost like a designer of your own life. And you'll really be able to see your life from the bigger picture perspective and to look at it and to say, okay, this is what I want to recreate. This is what I am able to actually heal now. So it's a great time, Monday the 27th, to really get rid of these long-standing patterns once and for all, because you're able to identify them. Okay. On the same day, Venus trines Neptune in Pisces. Personal love, global love in the sign of Pisces. There is a very complicated energy here because love is in the air, but there's also this uncertainty and fear. And, you know, there is a fine line between love and other emotions because it's extreme. So this is it's a very volatile day. It can really blow up quite easily. That said, Mercury's in Gemini. It squares Chiron in Pisces. And if someone says something to you that really presses a button or that touches a nerve, it can feel like an internal bomb going off. It can be taken very, very seriously, and things are heightened on this day, okay? Things feel magnified, they feel bigger. Now, Tuesday takes that theme and runs with it, because on Tuesday, love and deceit are strong. There's instability in the world. People are trying to get theirs. You know, what's that thing when they say it's doomsday, it's the end of the world, and everyone goes out and buys cans and they go sit in their bunker? It's that kind of mentality. It's like, me first, everyone else is out there. Keep them out, keep them away from me. Let me make myself safe first. And the ego loves that. The ego loves this fear kind of mentality because it separates you. It makes you feel like you're isolated, you're totally alone, and it keeps you insulated from anyone else. And when you're in that kind of fear, you can't love anyone, and you start to deceive so that you can get for yourself. It's very complicated. The reason for this is the moon is still in Aries. It squares Venus in Cancer. The moon creates a lot of connections today. It squares Pluto in Capricorn. It quincunxes Jupiter in Virgo. It connects with Mars in Scorpio and Uranus in Aries, okay? So the moon feels under pressure. It's like little old me is sitting here, and the big bad world is, you know, out there, and everyone's doing these things, and what about me? Everything's out of my control. Things are happening all over the place, and what can I do about it? I can buy my cans of Campbell's soup and I can hole up in my bunker. It feels desperate, and it feels like I'm grasping at straws here to keep myself safe. The way to work with this is not to, you know, buy 20 cans instead of 5. The way is to take a breath. We're all still connected, whether you feel anxious or not, and to resist that urge to shut down, okay? Now, that by the middle of the week, that can be turned around. Communication becomes very clear and very concise on Wednesday, the 29th of June. Mars goes direct, so these diminishing returns that we've been experiencing, you know, the month of June was a lot about I'm trying, and I'm not getting a lot for it. I'm making such an effort, but things just go, things fizzled out a lot in June, okay? So these diminishing returns become a thing of the past. Drive and emotional honesty becomes a big theme on this day, and it starts to abound. So Monday, Tuesday is about fear and deceit and trying to pull the wool over other people's eyes. You will have that urge to do it too. I'll have that urge, you'll have it, your mother will have it. There's fear in the air, okay? On Wednesday, it's much better to have an open, honest discussion with someone because people are returning to sanity. Okay, the moon moves into Taurus at 10:04 a.m. Things become practical, concise. What you touch, what you feel, you know, let's get a grip here of ourselves. Let's come back down to earth. That's good. Mercury moves into Cancer. You're going to start to connect with your feelings again, and you will be able to connect with them internally, but also connect with other people about their feelings, bringing you all back together. Big global world hug on Wednesday. This is much better. As I said, Mars goes direct. Mars is the archetypal male energy. It's responsible for drive and desire and getting things, okay? And in Scorpio in retrograde, it's very complicated, okay? It's like a narcissist. It's like a borderline personality with narcissistic tendencies. That's how I find it anyway. And because it's so complicated, it doesn't get a lot done. And if you're like me and you experienced that in June, it wasn't a lot of fun. It's like, you know, grinding away at stuff and getting minimal returns. It was hard work. It was a slog. So hooray, Mars goes direct. Aries particularly will be very happy about this because Mars is your ruler. Good news. But both of these changes, so Mercury going into Cancer and Mars going direct, they both happen just before midnight in Greenwich Mean Time again. Okay, so both of those happen together within the same hour, and they're both personal planets. So if you're still up at that time, or if you're waking up the next morning, you'll notice that there has been a big personal shift. Whenever these personal planets change, the energy personally shifts quite significantly. Now also, the moon sextiles the sun in Cancer, so much less insane, much less friction than there was on Monday when it was a third quarter and it was a square when the two were 90 degrees apart, and it was like, War of the Roses a little bit. This is much more, okay, let's get on with things, let's hold hands, let's be friends, let's work together. Much better. Now, on Thursday, I've made a note here that the best way to work with the strong emotional energy that's floating around is to support other people. So it doesn't mean that things get easier or less emotional or less dramatic. I really expect this is going to be a super hardcore, pacey week. Things are going to be happening quickly. So there is lots of emotions floating around, but it's helping other people. And your seesawing emotions, the major ups and downs, they can be balanced by working with other people, and it's the day of connection. This is the best day to hold hands with other people, to connect with them, to get things done. Okay, you're going to have the best outcome if you involve other people. You're going to make the most headway in your personal relationships with other people when you sit down and you actually communicate about your feelings, your emotions. Again, the moon makes a lot of connections on this day, but it's much more personal. Okay, so it quincunxes Saturn, it sextiles Neptune, it sextiles Venus, it semi-squares Mercury, it trines Pluto, it trines Jupiter, it opposes Mars, and Venus opposes Pluto. Okay, so it's a personal day of not earlier in the week of poor old me, I'm being squished here by all these other people. It's more about let's network, let's pick up the phone, let's get things sorted out, let's see what we can work on, what we love as a unit, what we all care about, and how we can get things done. It's very, very, this is what your kindergarten teacher wanted you to do, okay? Don't take all the toys out of the little box and play with them in your corner, and then if anyone comes up to you, smack them over the head. No, no, no. It's about sharing, working together, and having a good time. You know, a little utopia of personal relationships. Very, very good on Thursday. Okay? So, again, bringing this down into practical matters. You know, if you're thinking of making a commitment to your boyfriend, girlfriend, if you're trying to get on the same page as one of your parents, if you're wanting to organize something with one of your children, and really just make a plan. Like, we know you don't have that many interests, for instance, but we would really like you to go to college. How can we make that happen? How can we work together here? It's really good for that kind of stuff. Now, Friday is interesting because messages and ideas abound on this day. It's a supersizing of your personal desires, especially when it comes to sex, romance, and luxury items. Okay? This is the Veruca salt of days. This is greed. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Let's have sex. Let's buy Rolex watches. Let's get in the Porsche. It's super materialism, and it's, like I said, the supersizing of your really basest desires, you know? The physical connection, the goods, the gluttony, the greed. It's all of that very, very strongly. The moon moves into Gemini at 11:45 a.m. Again, GMT. If you're in the States, this is a few hours ahead of you. If you're in Australia, this is a few hours behind you. Don't get too involved with like, okay, it's 5 hours or it's 6 hours. These energies are gradual anyway, so don't get too hung up on the times. But the moon moves into Gemini, so again, it's very communicative. And remember, Wednesday and Thursday were already emotional and communicative already. That heightens even more. So ideas are popping, messages are zipping around. Venus is in Cancer and it sextiles Jupiter, so it's like love of emotions, love of things that have an emotional response, getting bigger, 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 blowing up like this big balloon until you're satisfied. You know, it's like hunger building inside of you. The moon also semi-squares Uranus and Aries. So it's making big connections. First of all, it's wanting to connect. It's wanting to go through doorways. It's very self-confident, the moon that is. It's very eager and ready to like move into the next thing. It wants to do it big. It wants to do it lovingly. It wants to do it not lovingly so much more as with lust and with greed and with what I want, what I like. Okay? So if you have a problem with eating chips in the middle of the night, be aware that on Friday it's not going to be better than it is on other days. On Saturday, the 2nd of July, your fantasies and your imagination are still going to be fired, but on Saturday they are best used and worked with when you channel them into new adventures. So do something fresh and new and exciting. Okay, that's the best way to use that energy and to feel good about it. The moon is still in Gemini. It squares Jupiter in Virgo. It connects with Uranus in Aries, urging you to be eccentric, to do things on your own, your way. It opposes Saturn in Sagittarius. Screw the way things are always done and what the status quo says. Who cares about them? This is what you want. And it also squares Neptune in Pisces. So again, this is very different to earlier in the week when the moon felt very victimized and was like, ooh. This is like, I am big and confident and I'm capable and able and I have dreams and desires and I have ways and means of realizing those. It's very much about arching your back out, sitting up tall, being strong and saying, I have options and needs and desires and I'm going to fulfill those. It's a great day to really take a risk, to do something new and fun. And even, I started this video with the whole thing about the politics, but this is the kind of day when you can start to see the potential of this kind of thing. Oh, okay, we've got over the initial shock of it. Now, oh, okay, this has opened something up. And every situation, whenever change is there is something good in it. Even if it's something that's mainly negative, there is an opportunity in most change. And that'll start to appear and it'll start to feel more positive now. Whereas the rest of the week has felt frantic, competitive, emotional, and a lot. Okay? Finally, the week ends the way it started, intense. So on Sunday, the 3rd of July, really, really expect very intense emotions. And I made a note of this as well. Expect visions, and I don't say this, lightly. Expect visions of the other side. And that's to psychics and mediums and also non-psychics and non-mediums. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when someone asks me a question, I can close my eyes and sometimes I can access the collective unconscious, and it's almost like a pink cloud that I feel like it's this place I can go to. And like if I ask that a question, like what's the outcome of this? Like for instance, I did that when I was home. Who was playing? I think the European football thing is on at the moment, and I think Austria was playing Iceland. And everyone at dinner was talking about what was happening, and I checked and I said, what's the outcome of this? And it's a feeling, you connect to that big pink cloud, and I got the number, and I don't know anything about it, and I took it, and lo and behold, that was it. So that's what you are able to do, and sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder. That collective unconscious pink cloud of all information is always there, but sometimes we're just closer to it and sometimes we're further away from it. On Sunday, the 3rd of July, you're going to be closer to it, okay? So if you want to make any personal predictions for your life, if you want to figure out what things are going to look like, is this relationship going to work out? If I take this job, what's the future going to look like in 2 months? Any question you can possibly have, are me and David going to work? If I move to America, is that a good thing? Get in touch with your own intuitive place and look, if you get an answer, you'll be very surprised. The moon moves into Cancer at 1:21 in the afternoon. So your feelings, very watery, very intuitive. It's one of the longest summer days in the Northern Hemisphere here still. We're in that time where light abounds, and light, intuitive energy, whatever you want to call it, it's all about exchange of information. And this Cancer moon then squares Chiron in Pisces. And remember, this is what I talked about earlier. Chiron is that wounded healer quality. And at the beginning of the week, you had access to that in the past and in the future. What you wanted to heal, what you want to recreate. And when the moon now squares this, it's again tapping into that bigger picture, that greater soul energy, where all answers are always held. Call it the Akashic record, call it cosmic consciousness, call it the collective unconscious. It's all the same thing, okay? And your moon and Cancer, they connect the dots on Sunday. And then finally, the sun in Cancer. So moon in Cancer and the sun in Cancer. Good time for you guys, Cancerians. And for the rest of us, if we want to get in touch with our feelings, that trines Neptune in Pisces. Neptune, the water planet of dreams and aspirations, in the sign that it rules, Pisces. Super, super watery day. Mirages, visions, images, psychic knowledge, psychic information, and dreams being presented to you from your guide, your angels. You know, if you're like a 17-year-old weed smoker eating Pringles and playing your PlayStation every day, you may just take a bio break or whatever it's called, and you may be shown a vision of you running a charity at age 28 and making a real difference in the lives of visually impaired people. Okay? And sometimes we need a leg up like that from the universe, and Sunday is the day you get it. So listen to those messages. Hear what's going on. So that's it for the week. It is a high anxiety time. There is a lot of movement going on, as we can see in the political world, in your personal world, in your personal life. But it's productive. You know, it's not just intensity for the sake of intensity. This is good stuff. You can get a lot out of it. If you would like a private reading with me, then please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab and you can order your private reading with me there. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you get notified of these weekly videos, the daily tarot readings, the monthly astrology readings. I do live Q&A sessions on Facebook, facebook.com/GregoryScott444. Like that, please. And I'll speak to you next week.